From the Aero Sports Tennessee home office along the banks of the Stones River in the heart of Rutherford County, this is the Coach Will Krieski Show, a weekly showcase of highlights, interviews, and insights from Riverdale head football coach Will Krieski. Now here's your host and play-by-play voice of the Warriors, Chris Bosen.
14th play of the drive coming up. 3 receivers right, 1 to the left. It's Braylon Burns on the short side of the field. Ball on the left hash as they move right to left. Hampton in the pocket, looks to throw right. Dangerous pass, elevating in the end zone. Touchdown, Warriors. The freshman, Luke Tritch, number 10, went and got it. Hampton sailed it in over double coverage. And Riverdale's an extra point away from tying it up here in the first quarter in the Battle of the Boro. 7-6 right now. Weaver on to attempt the extra point.
I mean, what a throw and what a catch. Tritch able to lay out, extend, haul that pass in over at the corner in coverage against Joel Wyatt of all people. What a play to get on offense.
Well, welcome to episode 14 of the Coach Will Krieski Show here on Aero Sports Tennessee. I'm Chris Bosen, joined again by Riverdale head coach Will Krieski. Today's show recaps last week's Battle of the Boro at Oakland with plenty of highlights from the annual rivalry game, plus a preview of the first-round TSSAA playoff game at Lebanon. Now, before we get to the Blue Devils, though, Coach, Thursday's Battle of the Boro seemed to have really a little bit of everything, as rivalry games so often do. The final score, 35-21. I don't think that represented fully just how competitive and how closely matched that game was. Definitely some things to correct for you, but I thought there was a lot to like for the Warriors headed into the playoffs. What was your overall impression of the game?
Yeah, the kids did really well. I thought, the week of preparation, we did a great job preparing for Oakland. I thought on game day, we handled it business like I thought we did everything that we should have done to make ourselves successful. The issue is now this is the third time that we've been leading the game, the Oakland game at halftime or going in the fourth quarter. But, the 2 previous, it was double digits. This one we were just up the score. And, we got to be able to finish this. We told them it was going to be a heavyweight fight. And they're going to throw some punches and we're going to throw some punches back. I was really proud of how the kids responded after that at the opening kickoff. A lot of people could have tucked their heads and went to the tails. And, it could have been a long 48 minutes, but they rose to fight back. So I was proud of our fight and what we were able to do. I was proud of some of the success we had on offense and the way the kids keep improving. I thought our defense played well at times, but in critical situations, we just missed too many tackles to get that win.
Your words last week, I don't think could have been more prophetic when you said you'd been telling the team, look, they're going to make plays. They're too good not to make plays. Yeah. The key is how you respond to that. Don't hang your heads. And you certainly got that early opportunity to see how they would respond off of that kickoff return. And they go on a long drive, get a touchdown themselves. What was your words that we can share anyway, immediately after that kick return as you sent the offense on the field?
Actually, I just said, guys, we told you they're good. Let's just go out there and do what we can do. We're just as good as them. It was no panic. If you go in panic mode right after the opening kickoff, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be real good. And the kids, I stay calm. The kids stay calm. Sometimes the kids, feed off of you and the energy of you. And if I would have went full panic mode, it wouldn't be good. So, we stay calm. And I knew our offense, if we did what we were supposed to, we'd be I kept preaching to them, live the standard, believe the standard, trust the standard. And when you do that, we're a good football team. And I believe the offense did that a lot last week.
The drives that they put together, we're going to look at a lot of these highlights. They were extended drives, unlike many. I on the broadcast was thinking about the Stewart's Creek drive that we saw earlier in the season, and a long extended drive, picking up third downs, long conversions. I thought the offense looked really good.
Yeah, they did. They played really well, and did a good job blocking up front. Gavin did a great job going through his progressions and finding the receivers. Man, the receivers did a great job catching the ball. That's what you got to have against Oakland. They're going to score. So you need to be able to keep the ball and move the chains. What we did that we haven't had a lot of success on this year is the third and longs and second longs, having success on that. And that was huge in that ball game.
Well, and I think by the official stats that I saw, I think one dropped pass the entire game. Like you said, receivers were going and getting the football. The passes were right there. The offensive line allowed there to be time. I mean, yeah, there were some sacks, but that's a really good defense Oakland has.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, they fly around, they're fast, and Coach Watson does a heck of a job. I've known Coach Watson for years, and he does a great job of that defense. And, I think our kids played well and did a good job. You couldn't have been set up more like a playoff atmosphere, and that's what I told them kids. From Rockville on, it's been playoff atmosphere. Rockville, Oakland, and now Lebanon, of course, is playoff. But that's just the way it is, and that's just how it is this time of year. And I'm just so proud of how they responded. Now, in the Oakland game, there's some things we could have done better to finish the game, and we'll keep working on that.
Well, we're going to get into these highlights here because there are a lot, and I mean, when the kids make plays and when they shine like that, we want to showcase them. You got off to the start there. We saw that play of the game. I said dangerous pass, coach, because when it leaves Gavin's hands, I'm seeing double coverage. I'm seeing those guys back there. Is that your thought sometimes on the sideline? Whoa. And then it's delivered like that. Just perfect.
No, I just trust them guys to go make plays.
I got you. I mean, that's the thing in the stands. Sometimes we see it and what a throw though. And what a catch by Luke to go get it.
Yeah, it was really good, and they did a good job, and that's something they work on all the time. Him, and Luke, and Talley, and Riley Talley, and all those receivers, they worked at it. They worked at it all the time, and Gavin did a great job with the ball placement.
Early on, a 1st and 10 from the Riverdale 47. Gavin looked to Corben Reynolds for a big pickup on that first down play, and we'll take a look at that here. They'll go 5 wides once again. Hampton from the gun, snap. On the near hash, looks to throw, has Reynolds at the 40-yard line, bounces off a tackler. Corben Reynolds inside to the 35. He lost the football as he hit the ground and covered it right back up. Great catch by Corben going across the middle. And again, I thought going into the ball game that the short passing game, that intermediate passing game was going to be a recipe for success. It's tough to get deep on these guys.
No, it's real tough. They're athletic and they fly around. You got one committed to Ole Miss and one committed to Tennessee. So, they're playing SEC DBs. And so I thought Corben and Gavin did a great job. And I thought Corben did a great job with yards after catch. He made a physical, hit Joel right there and was able to get extra yards. And that's huge in that type of ball game to be able to get yards after contact.
But Luke and Corben were not the only guys making big plays. Everyone down that receiving core was. Riley Talley's got our next highlight. 2 receivers right, 2 left. Ball on the far hash. Now Tritch will come motion right to left. Hampton takes the shotgun snap. He's in the pocket, looks to throw. Finds Riley Talley on the near sideline. Talley inside the 20, inside the 15. Riley Talley on the completion on the out route. And Riverdale keeps the drive alive, picks up another first down. The communication between receivers and quarterbacks, we've talked about it all summer, Coach, and all season long about how that relationship evolves. They really kind of have to, know one another so well that they're just where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they have to trust each other. We had an incident this week in practice, where one of our receivers went one way on the option route, and, Gavin had a mishap and threw it the wrong place, and you could immediately, my bad. But again, I'm saying that because they do have to trust each other, and they have to know where each other's going to be because of a lot of things that we do on our offense. And they've done a good job meshing well together and getting better and better each and every week.
The game's tied 7-7, and that brings us to our special teams play of the game. Oakland gets a touchdown to go up, but they are unable to convert on the extra point thanks to Zaiden Jones. And the extra point here from Hernandez is blocked by the Warriors. They get to it, they block it. Trying to see who got in there. Zaiden Jones may have been the man as he's getting a lot of high fives from the sideline. Zaiden had an excellent game, I thought, Coach. He continues to contribute in special teams and across the board. That was a big block.
That was huge. You notice you see Zaiden on special teams, you see that Zaiden on defense, you see him on offense. People don't, Zaiden's just steady Eddie, man. He does what he's supposed to, where he's at when he's supposed to be, and makes plays. And I'm really proud of the progression that Zaiden's made throughout this year and from last year this year. I didn't know if he could ever be a leader just because his quiet personality and the way he is. Nothing negative about him. He just kind of sticks to himself, but he's really, grown up this year and come out of his shell a little bit more. And I'm just proud of how, just everything he's been able to accomplish this year on the field.
The offense, of course, had a a strong game. And defensively, I thought the way you were able through most of the game to control the running game between the tackles, I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, they did a good job. The D-line, the front seven did a good job of containing and being able to get through up front. But the big thing was when the broken plays is what got us. Those athletes, made big plays on the broken plays, and we got to do a better job of when we do pursue the ball, we wrap up. When we have something to contain, our backside responsibility is supposed to be there.
On a 3rd and 14 at the Riverdale 17-yard line, Jeremy Thompson, one of those defenders who's just really emerged this year. I know he's one of the younger guys, but by this point of the season, none of them are younger anymore. But Jeremy Thompson makes a great stop on Dante Cameron. From the 17-yard line, 3rd and 4 for the Patriots. This is Dante Cameron. Cameron going to keep it himself, and he's hit. He's hit at the line of scrimmage. They blew it up as Riverdale got pressure on that right side. Jeremy Thompson, the 5'10", 205-pound sophomore, was in there, I believe. And what a play there. It will be 4th down here from the 17-yard line. No gain for Cameron. That's just pure commitment up front, right? To believe that that's my assignment and that's where I'm going.
Well, yeah, Jeremy knew exactly what he was supposed to do on that play, and he fulfilled it, and what had success right there. And that play was huge. That play was huge because then they had a offsides penalty on the field goal or next play, and backed them up. Then they tried to kick a field goal, and then they missed the field goal. So that play and that loss was huge because once that penalty got tacked on too, that moved the kicker back, and people didn't realize how critical that play was in the ballgame early on.
Yeah, the field goal came up short, kept the score right where it was. On the next offensive drive, once again, the freshman Luke Tritch steps forward. He has a couple of plays here. We'll take a look at those now. Takes the snap. Hampton throws left. Tritch trying to make a move. Does across the 40. Tritch spin move out to the 50. Wow, Tritch slipped right past Joel Wyatt, a future SEC player, and got it to midfield on the completion from Hampton. 3 receivers left, 1 to the right. Vaughn on the left side of Hampton. Hampton fakes it to Vaughn. He'll dump it out to Tritch. Tritch at the 10. Tritch moves towards the sideline, trying to fight off Wyatt, who takes him all the way to the ground, 3 steps out of bounds.
I don't know how there's not a flag thrown there.
Wyatt took him to the ground, and they were all the way over in the blue turf. It has to be a flag. It's not. Joel Wyatt can't just do whatever he wants. Coach, that's a Mr. Football finalist. Those nominations are semifinalists. Those 5 guys came out today, headed to Tennessee. Joel Wyatt. Luke Tritch he just had a birthday. Here he is, a freshman, and looked like he belonged right on the same field.
Yeah, he's playing really well also, and, he's doing a good job of believing in what he's supposed to do, trusting his coaches, and, trusting Gavin, and their relationship's just getting better and better every week. And, Luke is special. He's different. So, he's going to keep getting better. He's going to keep working, and, we're going to keep pushing him and make sure he's held to that standard so he can excel at everything he does.
I think we've talked a little bit about this before, but in the context of this rivalry game, and they talked about it there on the broadcast, and my thanks to MyTV30 for allowing us to use their video on this broadcast because of where we were located in the visitor stands. There were some power issues. We had some technical hiccups. So big thanks to MyTV30 Sinclair for allowing us to fill the broadcast this week with those highlights. Thank you very much. The mental ability, though, of a freshman to stay engaged in a rivalry game like this is really key. And that maturity, maybe, you may have freshmen who have the physical gifts to compete, but to have that mental maturity is pretty rare.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty rare, and it's different, and so, he has some intangibles that other people doesn't have. And, he sticks to himself, but he's very, very driven. He wants to be successful, and he wants to work hard. And, that's how he's well respected in the locker room. That's why nobody immediately not throwing a fit over a freshman starting, because of his work ethic, his drive, and the success he has on the field. You can't question any of that. And people behind him can't question that or even bring that to attention just because he worked so hard and he's earned everything he's gotten at Riverdale.
That same drive, it's a 9-play, 80-yard drive, 4 minutes off the clock. It's capped when Gavin Hampton finds Corben Reynolds from 6 yards out. 2nd down, Hampton looks. He's got Reynolds. Touchdown from the 6, Reynolds, a 6-yard touchdown completion. And we are tied in the battle of the Boro as Gavin Hampton hit Corben Reynolds on that quick slant right in front of the goalpost. It's the favorite route for the senior receiver. They connect for the 13th time in 2025, and Riverdale's an extra point from taking the lead.
There's some scissor route right there, and Tally did a great job running his route right there. And, Corben was able to get open, and then Corben did a great job catching the ball and getting the end zone right there.
That the extra point is good. Special teams unit continues to play well. Up 14-13, getting set to go into the locker room. Like you said, you've been ahead there before. So that wasn't unusual territory for you. No, you just got to keep kids locked in and focused and know to go. Know that they had two more quarters versus a very good football team, and you have to keep playing up to. I told them, I said, y'all just lived up to the standard right there, and y'all trusted the standard. You believed everything about it. Let's go finish the game and play 2 more quarters up to it. And the kids, they were very positive. They were talking to each other, talking to coaches. Just working on. They knew it was going to be tough. They knew that Oakland wasn't just going to come out and lay down. That's not who Oakland is. And so, it's very engaged for halftime, and a lot of coaches coaching, doing their jobs, and, players listening and trying to make sure they were getting, like I'm telling you, like I've never been more proud of the way a team prepared for another opponent. Like everything they did the week before, everything they did leading up to the game, everything they did at halftime. And that's taking a loss like this. That's where it hurts, because your kids did everything right to win. I hear you on that, Coach. And that's the thing. I think there's also, in the long run, there's positives knowing, look what's possible when we do prepare that way and focus that way during a week. What is achievable for us? Exactly. And that's what I've been saying to them since Sunday. Look how you played when you did everything the right way. Just imagine what you can be if you keep living up to the standard each and every day. Our defensive play of the game came on a 3rd and 2 from the 36-yard line. A guy who had a big play against Rockvale comes up with another one, stopping Dante Cameron for a 1-yard loss. It's Nate Underwood. Yard pickup for Tut sets up 3rd and 2 from the Oakland 36-yard line. They take the snap. They'll run it right. Dante Cameron will be slung to the ground right there. No running room whatsoever, as he was wrapped up by Nate Underwood, the 6'2", 195-pound senior. Knowing how quickly they're able to score offensively, another huge play on 3rd down. Yeah, that was huge, and that caused them to punt. They were trying to get some points on the board. They wanted to go into halftime with a lead, so they wanted to get that 1st down right there and keep moving the chains. I think it was just too much time, and that's the reason. I think that was their only punt of the game. But we were able to get the ball back right there and run out the clock and then go into halftime. The second half, you come out, Coach, and really, I don't know how a drive could go any better. 15 plays, 76 yards, 8 minutes and 56 seconds. I mean, it's unusual that anyone can do that to an Oakland team. Yeah, no, that was really good. That's what we needed. We needed to be able to sustain drives. That's what we talked about at halftime. And you wanted to be able to take some time off the clock. And we did that. Everything we asked the kid, again, that's why I keep preaching, that's why it's tough to lose, is everything we asked the kids to do at halftime, they come out and respond and did it the way we asked them to do it. We're going to look at a couple of these plays here. We've got an 18-yard pickup, Gavin to Corben Reynolds, and then one of those unusual plays as Hampton completes a pass to himself. Corben Reynolds to the right for Hampton with Vaughn on his left. Fake the give to Vaughn. It's knocked up in the air. Hampton caught it himself. Gavin Hampton runs it himself. He gets it inside the 45-yard line. Gavin Hampton will have a story to tell when he heads to Nebraska this weekend. He'll tell the Cornhuskers about the pass he completed to himself in the Battle of the Boro tonight.
To pick up a 1st down, looking a little bit like Marcus Mariota from a few years ago, throwing a touchdown to himself in a wild card game against the Chiefs. What a great play by him.
When everything's working together, this is a very, very potent offense.
Yeah, everybody did what they're supposed to do. Everybody was doing their jobs, from receivers to running backs, quarterbacks, offensive line. That's what we keep preaching to them. When everybody's doing their job and doing exactly what they're supposed to do, they're a pretty special unit.
1st and 10 from the Oakland 44-yard line. Once again, Luke Tritch, the freshman, with a big reception from quarterback Gavin Hampton. 1st and 10 from there. Hampton in the gun. Has some time, looks downfield, gets it to Luke Tritch, who elevated to catch it. He just got it over the outstretched arms of Cullen Williams, the senior, and another pinpoint pass from the quarterback, Gavin Hampton, to the freshman Luke Tritch. Something else I noticed throughout the night, Coach, Oakland puts extra effort into stripping the football away, and all of our guys did a terrific job, I thought, protecting the ball and holding on to it when they would bring multiple guys at it.
Yeah, they do a good job of trying to get the ball out and punching at the ball and ripping at it. And I thought our guys did a good job of ball security. Now, we knew that going into the game, so we preached that all week long. So those kids were prepared for those types of situations.
That's the thing, though. I mean, I know that the coaches they're gonna say everything and prepare everything, whatever, but the kids have to implement it. And they did that this week.
Yeah, they did a good job. Again, I told you, they listened to the standard, trust the standard, and believed it and lived it. So, hard to believe
what they can do when you just take the instruction, take the coaching, and put it into practice. We get down to a goal line situation, 3rd and goal from the one, coach. And again, that defensive front Oakland has, the guys that they have flowing to the football makes it challenging, but Gavin Hampton is able to punch it in from 1 yard out. We'll look at that right here.
The drive, 3rd and goal from the 1, 3:10 to go, 3rd quarter, snap, Hampton, Gavin Hampton using the frame, Gavin Hampton to the goal line. No signal yet. Hampton says touchdown. I'm waiting for the signal.
I think they're going to rule a touchdown.
Did you ever see the signal,
I never saw the signal, but I saw the ref almost like he was going back to set the ball.
Yeah. Well, it looked, Oakland said they had the football. Riverdale started cheering. It's a touchdown. There's the signal finally. Finally, the signal from 1 yard out. Gavin Hampton on the 15th play of the drive. Riverdale scores. They lead 2013. Here's the critical extra point from Miles Weaver out of the hold of Jake Rolling and the snap of Cooper Tease. It's good.
At that point, you're up 21-13. There's 3:04 to go, in the 3rd quarter. What do you think is the difference between having that lead and being able to finish the lead, like you were saying at the outset today? Just being able. Where do you think? What's the key piece to get that next step?
You cannot take a play off. Like, you cannot, because Oakland's going to come back. And those kids, they believe in what they do and they believe in their standards. And so they're going to be fighting their tails off to do whatever they can to protect themselves, to make sure they do what they're supposed to, what Coach Creasy tells them to do to win the game. And so you're getting their best no matter what. You always see when games get like that against Oakland in the last few years, you see Craig Tutt take it over. That's just who he is, and that's just human nature. He's a competitor and he wants to win. So we have to match that. All 11 on the field have to match what they're trying to accomplish, and we have to be trying to accomplish the same thing. Because again, it's just little things: the missed tackles, not keeping contained, not finishing some plays that hurt us.
The last couple highlights I got, again, that receiving core did so well. Braylon Burns picks up a 33-yard reception on a 3rd and 20 play, and we also have another catch from Riley Talley. I want to look at those.
Hampton needs the big play. In the pocket, throws. He's got Braylon Burns. Braylon Burns has the first down out near the 40-yard line. I look for any flags. I don't see any. Braylon Burns extends the drive. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left for Hampton. Has Vaughn in with him, stands in the pocket, gets a block, finds a man across the middle. It is Tritch, who's slung to the ground by Joel Wyatt. And then Luke Tritch, or actually, no, it's Riley Talley.
That last throw to Talley, coach, that's that final really offensive drive, looking for a tying touchdown. Going inside 4.5 minutes or so, you're on the march for a potential game-tying touchdown. And then the drive kind of stalls out. There's some penalty things. I guess from my perspective, that was the one kind of negative that I took from the game was there were an awful lot of penalties. You're playing on hostile turf, and you're not going to get the calls to go your way. And I feel like there was some drive-killing penalties in the game.
Yeah, we gave them 45 free yards. And I've preached that to the kids. You can't give an elite team, a team number 1 in 6A football, 45 free yards. And whether whose fault it was or this and that, it don't matter. We still got the penalty called on us. So we were doing something to be involved with the situation. And we can't do that. 45 free yards to Oakland you can't beat them when you do that.
You dominated time of possession. By my count, it was over 30 minutes or right at 30 minutes of time of possession to their 18 minutes. The only quarter Oakland had it more was that fourth quarter. Every other quarter, you controlled that aspect of the game. The last thing I want to talk about from the Oakland game, and it does have to do with officiating, but I want to talk about it from the perspective of what recourses there are and how, look, everyone makes mistakes. Players make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. I make mistakes every broadcast. When officials make mistakes, and that's where I want to get your thoughts on, like, what are the steps and what are the course, course of action that are available to coaches with the TSSAA? Because there's a call on that last drive on an ineligible receiver downfield. And you correct me if I'm wrong. I had to go back and look at it later. The ruling is a lineman cannot be more than 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. Let's take a look at this play that's from the 17-yard line. I'll just show it, and then we'll go from there.
The issue is with Jacob Vaughn being too far downfield.
So the issues with Jacob. I thought so. They ruled. They called it on 60, ineligible receiver, and the ruling shows when the ball leaves a quarterback's hands, that's when it matters, not when it's caught. And so when I look at it, our lineman is at the 19. He's at the 18, 19-yard line when Gavin lets go of it, and you see the flag come out from the sideline. So my question is not. It's more in general. When there are questions, what recourse do you have, or what is the process like? I mean, is there a way to say, hey, what's going on here on this ruling, or what happened?
Yeah, sometimes you can talk. A lot of times you can talk to your associations. The guys over your association and send film in. And a lot of crews will ask for film, and they want the film to be able to correct things. Some crews are more open than others. I have good relationships since I've been doing it in the same area for a while, so I know a lot of these guys, and so we do have open dialogue and we do talk. When their situation does arise. There was a situation in the playoffs that happened to us last year that I was really, really confused on and didn't understand the call. So I reached out to a bunch of guys to try to better educate myself, because I wanted to prove if I was wrong, I want to know I'm wrong, because I want to understand the rules to be able to teach the kids the right things to do.
And so on that particular play, from your perspective, again, they were calling it on the running back being too far upfield?
Yeah. Jacob Vaughn his heels need to be 2 yards from behind the line of scrimmage to help from that situation. As he got flat, he got depth, which, they called it, with the lineman downfield and throwing an illegal pass, and Jacob Vaughn caught that ball. We just got to do a better job with Jacob. I got to do a better job of coaching him up, make sure he doesn't do that, because that can be a big play for us.
And the other part I want to reiterate, Coach, like you said, a lot of these officials. You've been around a long time. Sometimes folks in the stands think, oh, this is going on and that is going on. I think the truth of the matter is everyone's trying to do their best, don't you think?
Yeah, it's not like the officials want to come out there and call a bad game.
Right.
They want to try to do their best, because a lot of them, their goals, just like the team's goals, they want to officiate in the state championship games. That's their goals. And I know an official that used to always do a Riverdale Oakland game. He was always on the officiating crew from Riverdale Oakland. Well, I look up, he's in the SEC now. It's a guy from Murfreesboro. He's in the SEC officiating now. So, you never know. These guys are just like, coaches, or like the players. They're trying to grow and get better. And, some of them really want to make it big in officiating. And that's awesome. And, to see that man up there doing what he loves to do in the SEC is just awesome, knowing that he's done a bunch of Riverdale Oakland games.
And look, I know it's a thankless job, but officials always take the heat. But the truth of the matter is, when we can explain it and try to let people know what the calling was and what was going on, they're human as well. And the other thing is that officiating shortage, we need more young guys getting into that side of football as well. And that can be former players. They make great officials.
Yeah, it could be anybody, and the more the merrier. It's good, and these kids need good officials. And it's just an extra little hobby. You never know what it can grow into.
Let's talk about Lebanon. Let's put this game behind, because the truth of the matter was what Blackman did to Rockvale meant you're going to finish as the 3 seed, even had you won this battle of the Boro. Means a road trip to Lebanon. And Coach, this is a place that you know all too well in the postseason, having gone there in 21 and 22 and not been successful. It's a dangerous Blue Devils team.
Yeah, it is. Coach Gentry does a great job, and they got a good running back. He runs the ball hard. He's real physical. And, we're gonna have to wrap him up and finish. They're a very disciplined team. They're exactly what they are coached to do. They do it. They're very well disciplined. You're not gonna get dumb penalties. They're not gonna do anything dumb. They're not gonna get hardly any penalties. They're gonna play a clean game. Coach Gentry's that's the type of team he's always established.
They go 8-2 on the season, and they go 3-2 in their region competition. They won their first 7 games of the year, lost 2 of their last 3. Their first home loss came last week at home against Cookeville, where they fell. But the running back you're talking about, Gianni Zita, 1,300 yards on 163 carries. That's good for over 8 yards per rush, Coach. And he missed 2.5 games this year.
Yeah, he did. And, there's no telling what his numbers would be. They like handing him the ball, as much as they can, and just
sure.
they like to give him the ball just as much as we like to throw it. So but we're going to have to do a really good job wrapping up because he does a great job getting yards after contact.
He's 5'7", they say, 190 pounds. I saw a picture of him not in his uniform though, and he's all leg. It looks like. I mean, as far as like some big tree stump kind of legs, he's going to keep driving the pile.
Yeah, he looks like a big physical running back, and so we're going to have to do it. Like I keep saying, we're going to have to do a good job tackling him.
Is Lebanon like any team that we've seen this year? Because even though they are a rushing team, they look different than Oakland to me.
Yeah, there's nobody really that I can compare them to that's been on our schedule. I think they're a well-coached football team, physical. They run defensively. They run to the ball. Their defense coordinator's been there for many years, and he's got his system put in, and the kids listen to him, and real coachable. Like he gets the kids in the right spots.
They've got some good receivers in Stafford, Searcy, Busby, Gregory, but nobody doing what Riverdale's receivers have done. What do you think the key in this contest is, given the fact that Lebanon's playing at home? Lebanon decided, evidently, and we can talk about that a little bit, that they preferred to play on Friday night. A lot of teams in the mid-state said, hey, we want to avoid this weather that could be coming in. Let's play on Thursday night. How do you view the key to this game?
Obviously, we just talked about the weather. Who's going to protect the football in the rain? Who's going to survive the storms and survive, the lightning delays? How long is the delays we're going to have? What team holds it the best? What team keeps their composure? What team, pays attention and it stays engaged during those delays? I don't know. Hopefully nothing happens with the weather. And again, it wasn't something I agreed on. I'd love to be playing on Thursday night, but that both teams have to agree, and we didn't come to an agreement. And they feel like they can beat us on a wet turf. That's their mentality, is that they can beat us on a wet turf. That's what they want.
What is that process? As the visiting team, the home team just has complete say on if a game was going to get moved. TSSAA is not involved? No,
they're not involved. And, you just, out of respect to each other, you ask, and I asked, and he wanted to keep it on Friday. And, we could have kept going back and forth, but I don't really know if TSSAA is not going to step in because, again, both parties has to agree.
Once the game, or you tell me, because you mentioned lightning delay and some other things there, who's in charge of the game once we kick off?
The officials. The officials are in charge of the game.
So they will make the decision on whether that, because if I go back to the Blackman game, we had that long rain delay, didn't know if we'd have to come back. It's all in their hands then at that point once the game starts?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, my fingers are crossed that we get the game in on Friday night. Yeah. I would much rather have been playing Thursday night.
Nobody needs to be playing. Nobody in the playoffs needs to be playing on Saturday night. Like that's my issue, and that's my problem with it. Like that's not right to any kid or any team, no matter what team wins. You want to, that's not right. And I really wish that's something that hopefully I can bring up to people, as we move on, because I get it in season and I understand in season, but when it's coming to the playoffs and you want everybody to have, the right amount of work preparing for your next opponent in the postseason. And, Lebanon's a good football team, that I feel like they need to, if they do what they're supposed to, they win. They need to, the full amount of time to prepare for them. But so that's just my opinion. And, whether it's right or wrong, I think, in the playoffs, you got to do what's right by by your kids.
Look, Coach, look, I look at it like this. all these other games in the mid-state have chosen to move to Thursday night, right? In my opinion, the TSSAA, when you're talking about, you're not just talking about rain coming in, right? If this was a rain shower coming in, hey, we deal with it, we go with it. This is projected severe weather, thunderstorms, maybe worse. You're talking about player safety. You're talking about fan safety. In my opinion, the TSSAA could say, hey, in this area, we're moving everything to Thursday for safety and for quality. You don't want to get to the playoffs and have a game marred by the quality of of what's going on, in my opinion. And so I think it's a miss on the part of TSSAA to not say, if this many teams are moving it, why is somebody not? And when it's strictly because of a perceived competitive advantage, I don't know that that's what the playoffs should be about.
Yeah,
but that's my opinion, and like I said, I know we share that. Either way, we will be there. The kick is scheduled for 7, Coach. Hopefully we get it off in time, and hopefully we get it complete without any incident.
Yes, sir. Hopefully everything gets good, and hopefully wake up in the morning and Friday morning and the weather's could drastically change. It's very well known to do that in Tennessee.
100%. Maybe it skips right over us. The other part is, Coach, like you've said all season long, everything matters. Everything comes back. That Blackman game experience, we've been there. We've played through rain. We've done it. Yeah. And if that's what it takes to do it again and advance to the second round, let's take it.
Yeah, our motto's been find a way all year. So that's what I told the kids. That's what the playoffs got to be about. You got to find a way to win. And, if you want to meet on next Sunday, let's find a way to win.
Clifton Tribble Field at Danny Watkins Stadium, the 7-3 Riverdale Warriors at the 8-2 Lebanon Blue Devils. Coach, I thank you for this time. I'm glad we got the show in. I look forward to the game and look forward to next week's episode as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. For Coach Will Kreisky, I'm Chris Bosen. Remember, Warrior fans, be proud, be bold, be brave, and ever loyal. Until next time, from Aero Sports, also my thanks to My TV 30 once again for allowing us to use those highlight clips. Have a great night, everyone. Good night.
This is the Coach Will Kreisky Show, a weekly showcase of highlights, interviews, and insights from Riverdale head football coach Will Kreisky. This is Riverdale football. All hail.